perfect life.
So this is how far the critique of friends with benefits or casual sex goes. The best type of romantic relationship not only is not just friends with benefits, just an exchange of sex. It's not even a committed relationship with sex. The best form of romantic relationship is when both parties do not have sex with each other and instead use that brief period of romantic divine menace flash to redirect it to philosophical contemplation. Is that the claim?
Apparently.
I see. What this reminds me of is, I believe it's Nietzsche's critique of another dialogue called The Symposium. And so the Symposium, for our audience, there's a dinner party, they talk about love, and it's kind of a similar strategy that Socrates employs, where you start off with loving a single body, and then you climb this ladder, and you end up loving philosophy, essentially, right? The form of beauty itself. And I think Nietzsche's critique goes something like, I go to a party, I want to get some action. I come out of the party with zero action, but the form of beauty. This is a complete bait and switch. Like, convince an Alcibiades, convince a Don Juan, convince a womanizer, convince a seductress that contemplating the form of beauty is not just better than sex, but even the same kind of thing as sex.
Well, Socrates did convince Alcibiades, didn't he? In the very Symposium, where Alcibiades himself tells us, in the sense that he tried his best to seduce him, and when Socrates treated him just like a brother, even though he slept under the same sheet, the same cloak, one night there, it made Alcibiades want to come back for more. So Alcibiades could see the point of this, even though he didn't have the strength, he didn't have the spiritual strength to persist in that himself, but he could certainly see what Socrates was about. I mean, bait and switch, what you're switching for, of course, is you don't come out of one party saying, I didn't, not only did I not see any action, I got this lousy lecture on the form of beauty. No, what you get it switched for is an entire life slowly building up to an experience of, if possible, this transcendent experience at the end.
Let me try to reframe this critique in the following way, which is the reason that the philosophical life is the better form of sex for Plato has to do with his idea of the forms, right? These metaphysical entities, because the form of beauty, which is one thing that the philosophical life aims at, instantiates in a beautiful person, right? So the idea is that sex with a beautiful person is a lesser form of contemplating the form of beauty because it's merely grasping the particular and not the universal. The problem is, in modernity, where we have rejected the forms, sexual desire is just an evolutionary impulse that's not connected in this laddering way to contemplating the form of beauty. And so in this world, is there still a way to run Socrates' arguments?
If you understand the forms in a fairly minimalist way, such that a person who lives their life by looking to the forms is acting or thinking according to what the situation itself demands, as opposed to what society tells him he should do, what other people seem to need or want, and catering to those needs or wants, or what he himself happens to need or want. It's getting away from living the world according to what just happens to be the case, a sense of that the world around us, it just happens to be the way it is, that we evolve, we happen to evolve as these creatures and so on. And instead, getting away from that because such a life would have no meaning. You're looking for things that can have true meaning. And if we think of the forms as a realm of true meaningfulness rather than conceding to coping with what happens to be the case, there is a way that life should be lived, as opposed to, I want to get by in life or get on in life.
I see.
I think those are very, normally you hear that when someone's preaching to you from a pulpit on a Sunday or in whatever other religious, so one can relate it to modern life by, are you a religious person or not? Religious people think this way.
I see.
Even if we don't accept Plato's forms anymore. I don't think you have to accept it in all its details to make it relevant.